In 1971, the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act was passed by Congress, and 44 million acres were transferred to Alaska Native corporations and Alaska regional corporations across Alaska. But, Mr. President, there was a flaw with that, those lands, and that is that there are 650 contaminated sites that include lead paint, asbestos, other forms of pollutants, toxic waste, and industrial chemicals. Mr. President, Alaska Natives living on or near these lands are suffering chronic, debilitating health problems that could be caused by the contamination. It was never the intention of the ANCSA to address Native claims with contaminated property. In 1998, the Federal Department of the Interior prepared a report that has a 6-point plan for remediation of these 650 sites. Mr. President, almost 20 years later, we know that not one of those steps has been acted upon. And I do not need to bring to this body's attention the hypocrisy here with the high environmental standards that we want to live by in this state, and yet the federal government is shirking their responsibility. In the Senate Resources Committee on March 18th, we heard from Nicola Rudy from the Alaska Native Village Corporation Association, and she testified that the federal government is responsible both morally, financially, and for the medical costs of people who are suffering by living near on these lands. Juliana Shane from St. Paul also testified, and her testimony was poignant because she has lost sisters and her husband from cancer that she believes they contracted because of the contamination that they live near. Mr. President, this House Joint Resolution calls for federal legislation that acknowledges the legal, moral, and financial obligation the federal government has to make those native lands free from pollutants, and I urge your support.